Hello, fellow biology academics.
We are Group 209. I'm Swaraj.
You can call me Brad.
I'm Jackson, and today we're going to be going over adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, and its signaling pathway and how it specifically affects heart rate or lung capacity.
Imagine this. You're walking home and suddenly a scary evil dog starts chasing you.
Your body goes into fight or flight, and the adrenaline pathway starts to work. Your body's adrenaline glands start releasing adrenaline into your bloodstream, which activates proteins that quickly increase your heart rate and expand your lungs,
Allowing you to safely escape from that scary dog.
Let's start by looking broadly at the G protein coupled receptor used in this pathway. Our ligand, adrenaline, is hydrophilic, meaning it will bind to the receptor found on the cell surface, which causes a protein to activate, triggering many more secondary messengers, which causes reactions throughout the body until it is deactivated.
Let's go over the pros and cons of this pathway.
The advantages of our pathway is that it has a fast signal response rate, allowing for your body to quickly react to scary dogs. It also has a high amplification rate, meaning that one adrenaline signal will cause many more secondary messengers to activate a reaction. However, one disadvantage to that is it can cause an overreaction, leading to a dangerously high heart rate.
So, we know when your body senses stress or danger, your adrenal glands release adrenaline into your bloodstream. That adrenaline travels to your heart and lungs. On the surface of those cells is a G protein coupled receptor, or GPCR. The G protein works like a switch. In its inactive form, it has GDP attached. When the receptor activates it, GDP is replaced with GTP. These are molecules crucial for energy transfer and signaling in cells. This turns the G protein on. Think of the G protein like a switch. When it turns on, it activates an enzyme called adenylate cyclase. Adenylate cyclase converts ATP into something called cAMP. cAMP is important because it spreads the signal inside the cell. It activates a protein called protein kinase A, or pKa. pKa starts a chain reaction. It activates other proteins and eventually leads to the activation of glycogen. That enzyme breaks down glycogen, which is stored sugar, into glucose. And that gives the lung and heart cells quick fuel to make ATP. And more ATP means more energy. More energy means your heart pumps faster and your lungs take in more oxygen. Once the stressful situation is over, the pathway shuts down. Brendan is going to explain the termination of the pathway.
Just like your body can turn the pathway on quickly, it can also shut it off quickly. First, the adrenaline detaches from the receptor after a short time. When that happens, the receptor changes back to its normal shape and can no longer activate the G protein in the first place. Second, the G protein turns itself off. When it's active, it has GTP attached, but very quickly it changes that GTP back into GDP. That switches the G protein off, actually. And then thirdly, the cell cleans up the messenger molecules with special enzymes that break down cAMP into AMP. And then finally, the enzymes called phosphates remove phosphate groups from proteins that were activated earlier, deactivating them in the beginning, further causing the termination of the signaling. And then once this all happens, the chain reaction fully stops. Now, I'm going to explain how the adrenaline signaling pathway is controlled by agonists and antagonists, affecting heart rate and lung capacity through a G protein coupled receptor, or GPCR. The natural agonist is originally epinephrine, also called adrenaline, which is released from the adrenal glands during stress. A synthetic agonist is albuterol, which comes from a man-made rescue inhaler used for asthma. An antagonist example is propranolol, a beta blocker that prevents adrenaline from binding, which is also a synthetic drug. When an agonist like albuterol binds to the receptor, it causes a change which functions as a bronchodilator to quickly relax airway muscles, opening breathing passages to treat or prevent bronchospasms in asthma, COPD, and exercise-induced asthma, and is given to the body by an inhaler or a prescribed drug. On the other hand, if an antagonist binds instead, the receptor does not change shape. The G protein stays inactive, secondary messengers are not produced, the heart rate stays lower, and the airways do not relax. So this is an example of an antagonist not blocking this pathway. So basically, to sum it all up, the antagonists block the pathway, which is propempinol, and to reduce the responses, while agonists mimic the signal to increase the responses, further opening the pathway, making it easier.
Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you learned more about the adrenaline signaling pathway and how it affects your heart rate and lung capacity. Until next time.